I'm Hillsborough Town Manager Eric Peterson, and this is a brief summary of the Town Board of Commissioners meeting from this past Monday, April 8th. The first item of action for the Town Board was actually two appointments to the Board of Adjustments. Dan Barker was appointed, and Bill Whitmore was reappointed to a second term. One of the major items they had talked about was approving an interlocal agreement between Hillsborough and the city of Durham. With the Orange County landfill closing on July 1st, we can no longer drive down to Eubanks Road to dispose of our trash. So fortunately, we've been able to work out an agreement with the city of Durham. Their transfer station is down north on I-85 off of Club Boulevard. So it's a little bit longer of a drive. We'll spend more time and more gas, but the tipping fee is about $10 less per ton. So we're hoping we'll be close to break even. And as a quick note, when we bought our new garbage truck, it's supposed to get like 50% better fuel mileage. The other one gets like 2 miles per gallon, and the new one's supposed to get maybe 3 or 4. So if you're into fuel mileage on garbage trucks. So anyway, now it gets sent for the city of Durham for their consideration. So we'll be ready on July 1st on that. So the board approved that. The other thing was Waterstone development. The developers came in and needed to get approval for the town board on their entranceway signs. The Waterstone Drive that runs right there by the hospital and the community college, they needed to get approval at NC 86. And then the big signage, the main entrance is at South Churton Street there at Old 86 and Waterstone Drive. And it's basically a stone column and stone wall along with the signage. So the town board approved the design and allowing the encroachment into our section of the right-of-way. So that was approved and moved on. As far as Waterstone goes, they also took the next step in the special assessment district process, which was basically approving the preliminary resolution for the district, and that identifies the specific costs, which is about $3.1 million in the infrastructure, which we've talked about before, the completing Cates Creek Parkway, which is the road that will go from Lafayette Drive there at Cornwallis Hills all the way into where the traffic circle is by the park in Waterstone. So that will be completed, the completion of the park, and there's some other miscellaneous infrastructure needs to get done. So that's the $3.1 million. The total project's about $6 million when you figure out the debt, the interest payments and the processing costs for the bond and everything like that. The next step in the process, there's been a lot of steps, will be the board will either at their April 22nd or the May 13th board meeting will consider basically approving the preliminary assessment rolls. And what the assessment roll is that identifies who or which piece of property in the development will have to pay, whatever portion. So it may be you have to pay $800 a year for the 10 years through the process or whatever they figure out. So the board identifies the property and identifies how much the payments are going to be. So that's the next step in the process. And then at that point, it will go to the local government commission in early June for their consideration. If the LGC approves it, then they'll be able to go forward with a bond sale, and construction of these projects can start, later this summer. So that's where we're at in Waterstone SAD. Food trucks. There's a new business opening up in town. It is Maggie's Hot Tin Roof. It's a bar that is going to be located in the old Hillsborough plumbing location there on West Margaret Lane, just kind of almost behind Banditos in that area. The new owners came to the board and said, look, we're opening hopefully in early June. Our business model includes not using a kitchen, but providing food by using a rotating food truck. They said they liked the concept of the variety. It's like having a new restaurant opening as different food trucks come in, and they are stated they are in a unique situation because they've got the room to put the food truck, and they understand there need to be restrictions on it. Now, the reason it came up is that food trucks are currently not allowed in the historic district on a regular basis. Of course, for special events, like we've had them in for I think the last Friday's farmers market, stuff like that. So they understood there needed to be several restrictions which they feel like they can address. As far as signage goes, people don't want a lot of sign clutter, and they feel on the ordinance they were requesting that the only sign be whatever is affixed to the truck. The truck itself is usually a big sign. They take care of their own trash, which they would do right there because it's right next to their building. Noise would be a concern because often the trucks have really noisy generators. They suggested having a limitation on some of the new really quiet generators, or in their case they said they were going to actually use an electric plug-in, let the food trucks plug in like an RV or a camper, something like that. And then of course they pay all their taxes and fees just like anybody else would coming in as far as the food truck goes. So the board, after discussing it, decided they wanted to revisit it, identify possible options, do some additional research, and ask the staff, the planning staff, to go ahead and draft an ordinance amendment that could be considered here in the near future at a public hearing. Sarah De Janeiro, who's the director of the Alliance for Historic Hillsborough, also serves as staff to the tourism board. So they asked Sarah to bring it up with the tourism board if they wouldn't mind taking the lead on trying to get feedback from the local downtown businesses and ideas, suggestions, concerns to take into consideration as an ordinance is considered and drafted in any other group. So I think the tourism board is meeting in a couple weeks. They will discuss that further, and of course the board wanted their input in it as well. So staff's going to start working on the draft, and so anyway, that's sort of the update on the food trucks, and those were all the major items we had at the board meeting. If anybody has any questions or wants any additional information on these items, feel free to go to the website. You can check out our agenda and or the meeting brief that came out afterwards, and it'll give you a contact. Whether it's, if you're not sure who to call me, 919-732-1270. I'm extension 80, or you can contact any of the other department heads directly. And if we don't know the answer, we'll point you in the right direction.